continuing our studies of the mind and how we can use our practices, our 10,000 hours, to train our minds to go to the places we want it to, looking at the virtues and being very mindful of our kleshas and our enemies, and finding practices that can help us make that neural pathway strong and clean and clear, so our minds automatically, Guruji used to like that word, are going to kindness and peace and love and compassion and equanimity and all these beautiful virtues that give our life meaning and bring us joy and happiness. So the last few weeks we've been looking at one of my favorite practices, gratitude, and using our hands over our hearts to daily practice the things that we're grateful for. And this week I'm really breaking down the way we use practices. So something like gratitude we can do like yoga and breath and metta in the morning or in the evening or once a day as a seated mindful practice. But also we can use this throughout the day, as I say, as needed. And there are two ways we can use the as needed, take the medicine as needed. And it can be a situation that's challenging or hard for us and we want to show up as our best self. So we ground ourselves in that real gratitude and appreciation and feeling blessed in these situations. But I think it's also important that we are able to start practicing gratitude in things in our life and situations in our life that are beautiful and loving and bring us joy and happiness, and to ground deeper and create, as I said earlier, stronger neural pathways so that we are experiencing more and more of the beauty in our life and the love in our life because we're practicing not taking that for granted. So this week I do a little storytelling, and I use one of my favorite books, Buddha Is as Buddha Does by Lama Surya Das. I highly recommend this book. And I start with a classic Tibetan tale of the Mani Man. Mani being the Tibetan prayer wheels that they put their paper prayers inside this wheel and are turning it, the smaller handheld ones, and then the larger ones you see in Tibet where they come along with their hand and spin the wheel. And it's like reciting the prayer. And this beautiful story of the Mani Man, his son, and their horse is a classic tale of inner peace and how we can, each of us, work towards that virtue of equanimity. So I highly recommend just staying for, tuning in, pressing the button and staying for our Dharma talk this week. And I finish with another classic story that is also in Buddha Is as Buddha Does, that I've shared with you many times, about the Cherokee elder and his grandson. And in this story, he describes two wolves that reside inside of every human being. And he talks about the wolf that's arrogant and angry and these qualities. And then he describes this other wolf that's benevolent and courageous and loving and compassionate. And of course, I'm giving you the shortened version of this beautiful teaching, but the grandson thinks about these two wolves that are inside of every human being inside of him, and he's silent, and he asks his grandfather, which wolf wins? And the grandfather responds, the one you feed. And so I really love this story, and I've shared it so many times, and I think about it often in my own life. What am I doing to feed the wolf that is loving, kind, and benevolent and peaceful? And I turn to these practices again of breath and yoga and meditation and metta and gratitude. And I share these with you as little personal secrets in my life to happiness and peace, and also how I navigate my way through the challenging times to bring myself back to showing up as my best, most beautiful, brightest self. So join me for our teachings this week as I do a little storytelling and give you some good practices that you can take and use in your beautiful moments of your life.